I told my client to stop social media. Okay, I'm going to say something out loud that I know a lot of you have been thinking, and maybe you haven't wanted to admit it because it feels like you're not allowed to say it as a business owner, especially in 2026. I'm going to say it. I hate social media. I hate social media. I said it out loud. Okay, there, I said it. And I'm sure that you've wanted to say that too. And it's not because I don't understand it. It's not because I think that it's evil. It's because I'm just so tired of the constant tug between being here and being in my real life. I'm tired of the thought, should I record this for content? Should I get out my phone? Like, can I make the things and do the things without recording? Listen, if you're like me, maybe you're thinking what I'm thinking, which is I want presence. I want connection. I want to live my life. And I'm tired of feeling like success requires me to perform it. So I've hired teams to run my social media. I've tried different strategies and I've done the whole thing myself. And what I keep coming back to is this: I want an aligned life. And if my social media doesn't grow, that's okay, because I have multiple ways to reach the people I'm meant to serve outside of social media. So this is the year 2026 where I let myself off the hook. I trust that an aligned life is better than followers. And today I'm going to tell you a story that might completely change the way that you think about marketing, because I literally told a client today, stop doing social media. Right? That was my advice. Like, as for strategists, that was my advice. And it's not forever, and it's not as a dramatic, I'm deleting all my accounts moment, but as a strategic decision. Because for this client, social media was not the lever. It was not the lever to pull for sales. And for you, it might not be either. So let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Product Boss Podcast. I'm Jacqueline Snyder, and this is the show for product-based business owners who want more sales, who want to grow real businesses. So whether you sell on your own website, at markets, wholesale, Etsy, Amazon, or a mix of all of it, you, my friend, are in the right place. And in today's episode, it's a little bit contrarian, not because I want to be edgy, not because I want you to stop doing something that works, but because I want you to stop building your business around a platform that demands you to perform. Because yes, social media can be a tool. It's an excellent tool in your marketing strategy tool belt, but it's not your marketing plan. So here's what you're going to get today on today's episode. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened today on a strategy call with one of my clients. It's an art company. They do prints and coloring books, and I've been advising them for the last 7 months. I'm going to tell you why I told them to stop doing social media. I know, gasp. And then I'm going to give you a framework for how you get to think about this for your own business without panicking and without swinging to extremes. The point isn't social media is bad. The point is social is optional as a growth lever for your business. And unless you decide you want to become really good at it, then there are other ways to be discovered. So if you've been feeling the internal pressure, like you're supposed to be constantly posting and it's draining you and it's not even moving the needle the way you had hoped, this episode is going to feel like a deep exhale. Are you ready? Before I tell you the story, I need to name the real problem. The real problem is not Instagram. The real problem is not TikTok. The real problem is not the algorithm. The real problem is the performance tax, that feeling that if you want your business to work, that you have to be on. You have to be on social media. You have to be posting. You have to be live. You have to be creating, and you have to be showing up. And really the concept here is you have to be packaging your life and your business into content, and you have to be available to doing it all the time and being consistent. My friends, you have to be in the conversation. And what that creates, especially for product-based business owners, is a constant low-grade stress that your business depends on your performance, on your content, on showing up. And that's where I'm like, no, thank you. Not in 2026, because you can build a business that sells products without being trapped inside the content machine. So do I think social media can help? Yes, absolutely. Do I use social media? Yes. Do I want to get my followers to 200,000 people this year? Yes, I do. Does it sometimes piss me off? Yes, all the time. But what I don't want for you is the belief that social media is the only way. So real quick, the product boss, because if I were starting my own product-based business right now, because I like social media, I know I've been telling you this whole episode that I hate it, does it piss me off, blah, blah, blah. Yes, because it's this underlying feeling of, I've been in this industry for 20 years. And so it's this underlying feeling of, back in the day, I could print out flyers and leave them in a coffee shop, or I could go to Mark. I didn't have this kind of like this underlying buzz, this feeling of, gosh, I gotta post something. Like it's always this needing to be somewhere else or needing to think about my present moment as something else for content. So if I were starting my own product-based business, because I like social media, I would probably do it. But would I need it to start? No. How I would start is exactly what I'm going to teach you in here, because for the product boss, I'm an education company. We have education. My whole goal is to inform and to teach product-based business owners around the world how to build real businesses and build wealth through their businesses and live this aligned life. So for us, yes, a YouTube, yes, podcast, yes, social media. It's part of my marketing engine. But as a product-based business, I don't need social media, right? Because social media isn't an entire marketing strategy. It is a tool in your marketing strategy, but it's also built recently and the algorithm wants it as its dependency, right? It's dependency. And doing that, that's the thing that really gets us stuck. Okay, so here's the story, and I'll mention them. It's Swill Arts, it's Sarah and Val, and Sarah is an amazing, incredible artist. Okay. Just an amazing artist, watercolor. And when I met them, basically Sarah's the artist and Val was in my program, and Val was basically there to be like, how do we build this as a brand? And so today I was on the call with them. And like I said, I've been working over the last 7 months with them as their strategist and as an advisor. They've been in my programs, and they are students inside of the Sales Accelerator and other programs of mine. And we were talking through their 2026 strategy. Now, this is an artist. And when we first started working together, they were making all sorts of art, right? Anything that they could create, because Sarah is so talented, they could paint anything, right? Like she could paint a cactus, a building, a bird, a flower, like everything. Okay, she's just so talented. So if you're an artist or even a creative, you know what I mean, right? We have lots of ideas. We have the creativity. We can paint, make, create hundreds of different things. And trust me when I say, I know you want to make all of them, but that's not a business strategy. So what I always teach and what I taught them was that we focused. So when we first started working together, the question to both of them was, what can you be known for? Right? What could he be known for? And we honed in on something that was already true about them, already true about the work that they were doing. One of the things that they were doing was they were doing local art. Okay. Local art to San Diego. And specifically, they were doing a really great job at landmarks. So instead of making everything and painting everything, what we decided to try and go all in on were these San Diego landmarks. Okay, that's what we were going to be known for in this business. And then we started looking at their product lineup. So they had prints, which is very typical for artists. They had cards. They were selling pieces of art and commissions. And then we asked the next question, which was, okay, what else? What else can you create that fits your brand, fits what you're known for, and fits your ideal customer? And eventually, they created this beautiful book. It's a journal with coloring, and it's using their art. It was their artwork, but with space and with attention and intention, and with this idea that this product was not just something that you look at, but this product was also an experience. And so then we started talking about where they could sell it, right? Because this is what I teach. This is what the Product Boss stands for. We have so many ways to sell every single product that exists out there. And so first, we have to figure out what you're known for, right? You'll hear me talk about this all the time, but what you're known for, what people can refer you for. And then we have to decide what we need to focus on and what we need to fix. So for them, we needed to focus on the product, the right ideal customer, building a brand around it, and then parts of it that were needing to be fixed, like the under layer, because of course, Sarah is still going to be an artist and still going to create beautiful art and have commissions, but it's like, okay, the prints aren't working, the cards aren't working. I mean, they were working, they were selling, but the effort for the return, because again, if you sell prints and art, you have to sell a lot more of those because of the price point. So what we did is we looked at different sales channels and we talked about wholesale, and they pursued wholesale and grew their stores. And this is what we teach inside of the Sales Accelerator, right? We teach other people's audiences, other people's customers. And so one of the easiest ways, which is what I did in my product-based business, was let's walk into physical stores and talk to the buyers and try and make sales. And they did. Of course, it's a lot of effort, but they started to make sales. Then we talked about selling direct to the consumer, right? We talked about building Shopify. We started talking about doing in-person events. And ultimately, all of this was talking about selling into other people's audiences, which again, I call OPA. And then we started talking and identifying other alternative places. And this is one of my superpowers, I think, as a strategist, as a consultant, is sort of looking at the whole picture, looking at your products and really figuring out product market fit. Knowing who your customer is, knowing the kind of business that you want to create, right? Some of you are like, yeah, I want to do social media, and yeah, I want to sell to 1,000 stores across the world. Others of you are like, I just want to do markets on weekends. You know, we all have different ways of doing this. And for them, it was like, okay, are we going to keep walking into stores and trying to sell these cards and how many units they would have to sell? Or was there an alternative way of doing this? They were still posting on social media and posting on Instagram. And the thing is that I want to help my students and product-based businesses and all my listeners that are listening that we can find the customers instead of waiting for our customers to come find us on Instagram. So you can put your products where your customers already are. That's what I teach. We figure out who the ideal customer avatar is. We figure out the right product, which we call product market fit. And then we go, where is the customer buying? So we talked about other places that people would buy art inspired by San Diego. And we talked about hotels and cruises and kiosks off the cruise and visitor shops, right? We started this idea and we continued working through it over the last several months, testing, trying, refining until something clicked. So the news that they shared with me today is that they got accepted to this massive travel association, and their strategy for 2026 is going to be a bit alternative, right? It's this alternative pathway. But this is more aligned for them in their business, and it's business to business, and it's aligned with where they're going and what kind of business they want to create. Because you've all heard me say this. We at the Product Boss really believe in a life first business. We all started our businesses for a lot of different reasons. Maybe there was a gap in the market, or you're like me and I'm a designer and I think in product. Maybe it's an artist and I want to find a way to get the art out. But also why I became an entrepreneur at such a young age was because my now husband was an actor and he was traveling all the time. And I was like, if I keep working at companies, I'm going to get stuck and I won't be able to go where he is. And so by becoming an entrepreneur, obviously also, I wanted to become an entrepreneur because I know I could make so much more money running my own company than working for somebody in their salary. And I wanted freedom of time so I could travel and I could be with him and I could kind of just like, and then eventually I could have kids and pick when I want to go to school, like school dances or school parties or whatever, right? Working for someone else, I felt really trapped in that way. So when you figure out what you want, so when Swill Arts figured out what they wanted, we were able to build a plan around that. And this is where we landed. And that's their unfair advantage. So I say that, and that's what I said to them today. I was like, you have an unfair advantage. We all have unfair advantages. My one, when I was starting Cuffs Couture, was I was young. I was living in Los Angeles. My husband's an actor. I used to work for an actor. And so I had this access to celebrities. I could like go to a club and walk up to, who did I walk up to? Like Audrina Patridge from The Hills and be like, hey, put this cuff on, right? And because I was in LA and at that time, Kim Kardashian and Carrie Underwood stylist was shopping, my products were being sold wholesale in stores that the tastemakers of the time, which were celebrities, were actually shopping. That was my unfair advantage. They have their unfair advantage now where super talented artists access to this association that they're a part of now and the way they want to do. So the thing is what you get to figure out here is, where is my ideal customer? And you want to be selling where your customer already exists. And this didn't happen overnight. Okay. This happened, I'd say that they've been working with the Product Boss over the last, we're probably at over a year now, where they came in and they were in one of my programs and then decided to upgrade and up level and start to have advisors and strategy and work with me. So this is a thing that we've been working on together over the last several months. Every time we tested, we tried, we found alternative ways of doing this. And so now they're not just selling as artists making art, but they're selling as business owners generating revenue and income with a plan, with an actual strategy. So when we started to do that, we're like, okay, this is working, double down on that. And then we multiplied, right? Some stuff really worked and other stuff we were like, okay, we're gonna pause on this. We're gonna find an alternative strategy. And that brought us to 2026. And then we multiplied. So we tested wholesale. We tested direct to consumer. They did a couple in-person markets. They did events and they used other people's audiences. And what the cool thing was is we were able to test out different products in all of these places to see what worked and what products are resonating. And then we figured out the sales channel that was working and the product that was working as well. There's a really good synergistic fit with local tourism for what they're doing. And this is something that we did and we discovered together. So we're going to build into that and we're going to figure this out. But everything I just shared with you is the exact step that most people skip. Okay, because we start to sell where we're at and we're like, why isn't this selling? And really, most people skip focus and fix. Focus and fix, because everybody wants to multiply. Of course we want to multiply. That's where the sales are. They want to scale, of course, because you're like, okay, I just want to make more and I want to make more and I want to do more. They want to grow. Of course. I mean, this is for me too. They want the next thing. But without this foundation, right, things are harder, things get stuck. And a lot of times they blame social media. Because the obvious thing is like, but I'm posting on social, the algorithm isn't helping me. Like, why is it not reaching all the people? But really, if you feel like you're struggling here, most people just haven't built a strategy that matches the product, right? A strategy that matches, what do I need to focus on? What do I need to fix in my business? And where are my customers showing up? How do I get in front of other people's audiences? And most of the time, and this is, for those of you who are joining the Sales Accelerator, if you're interested in it, I'll just kind of walk you through what happens in there, which is exactly what we did together, was we first identify like, okay, what's our focus? What are our focus products? What are we going to be promoting? What are we known for? What's a bestseller? And then it's like, how do we fix it? Is it priced correctly? Does your website convert if you have a website, or your product listings or your product pages? We start to try different ways of creating offers and getting people to buy it. So there's this opportunity in the first few weeks of focus. What are we focusing on? And then what do we get to fix? That's what we did. We mapped it out. We mapped this strategy out. And so when we were like, okay, focus, fix, really solidify our foundation, then we're also fixing where we're currently selling. So a lot of you might be selling on Etsy. And even though I don't teach Etsy, the strategies that I teach are real business strategies that can be used on any sales channel, right? It can be used on your e-com site, on another marketplace, on Etsy, on Amazon, at in-person markets. So the next place that we go is we not only fix your pricing and your conversions, but we fix your offers. We understand who your ideal customer avatar is. And then we're like, where are we currently selling and how do we make it better? How do we make more money where we currently are? My students in the first 6 weeks, they can double, triple, quadruple their revenue without any new customers, without doing anything outside of the focus and fix. And then once we do that, we look for other opportunities. And that's the OPA method, right? That's other people's audiences. That's what the Product Boss was built on, where we talk about, okay, what do we add on? Do we add on another sales channel? And a lot of times the sales channel is a sales channel that has customers built in. That's why I love in-person markets. It's their job to bring the right customers in. It's their job to market and get people walking the hallways, the lines, right? Like it's their job to get the right people there. And then our job is to show up and sell. I would say the same thing about selling wholesale. You find the right retailers to sell to. It's their job to get customers into the store. Amazon, 1 in 4 households in America have Amazon Prime. It's Amazon's job to make people come to the site and then stick, right? And so the harder part is you all thinking that social media, if I just post more and I don't know, post more, that somehow people are going to go from social media, go to my website and buy from me. That is like the biggest lie you've been telling yourself, unless you're good at social media or unless you really want to know how to do social media better. And heads up, inside of the Product Boss Sales Accelerator, we also teach social media because I do it. It's not something that I'm going to say like, don't do. I'm just telling all of you, you don't need it. You don't need to rely on it. If that doesn't feel like a strategy, the same way that some of you might never do Amazon and some of you might never do Etsy and some of you might never do in-person markets, or when I say never, in this moment. But we've been conditioned to believe that social media is required. So after all of the strategy and this whole session, and we talked about their new plan for 2026, what they're going to sell, where they're going to sell it, this really great product market fit, because we've done all this work over the last few months. One of the questions was, well, okay, but how about our social media strategy? And I was like, okay, hold on to your hats, right? But I told them, you have an unfair advantage right now. You have a connection and distribution pathways through this association. You've got sales channels and this product that's going to fit inside this world. To also carry the weight of posting when you don't need to right now, it's not the move. And you can come back to it when you're ready, when you have a team. Instagram is not necessary. And so if you love it as a platform, and if you genuinely love the strategy, then yes, do it. If you want to grow and you want to lean all the way in, you can. But here's what I said to them, and I'm saying it to you. Ready for it? You either have to learn social media and get really good at it, or stop doing it right now and find another way to market. I said it, and I said it on a podcast, right? And they were like, yeah? They said, we don't really have to do this. We don't have the time. We don't have the capacity. We really don't even have the desire to learn it or get good at it. And I said, then stop doing it. Because unless you're going to learn it and get good at it, you cannot keep carrying it like a requirement. That's how you burn out. In fact, that's how we stay distracted. And it's always like, again, that slow burn of like, I got to do it. But it's distracting you from all the other ways you can grow your business, right? And this is how you start to resent your business. That's how you end up feeling like your life is content or like hating it. And that's not what we're doing this year, not in 2026. They talk about it, the year of the shedding snake. If you've been on social media at all, they talk about like the snake that's shedding. And in 2026, we're going to turn into these like fire horses. So let the things go that you don't want to do. And I know when I said it to them, I was like, I know this feels so weird. It's like me telling you stop brushing your teeth, but it's not the case. Because everyone thinks that they need social media. They think they need TikTok. They think they need Instagram. And if you're on Instagram or you're on TikTok, all of the coaches there, like if you're following any coaches on there, they're selling you Instagram and TikTok. So of course, we think it's all about social media because we're on social and everyone is selling social. If you look at the content that goes viral, it's all like 10 hooks you can use today, or use these music things, or this is how I do stories. And that's all I get in my feed. But I want you to zoom out for a second, okay? Just zoom out for a second. Do I believe in having social media? Yes, my goal is to get to 200,000 people this year. Please follow me, okay? Come follow, because I'm not necessarily teaching social media on there. I'm teaching you how to build a business. I'm teaching you about mindset and transformation. And that's part of my strategy, because I can't put me on a shelf, right? I can't put myself on a shelf in a retail shop or at a market. I can go speak, But for me, content and speaking and video, all of that is necessary for this version of my business. But if I had a product, I'd be like, what great shop has my ideal customer that can come discover it because they already know, like, and trust that retail store and they're going to find it, right? So social media, yes, if you want to do it, but you also don't have to. So it's like having a website. It's like having your own email list. But here's the difference, okay? Because I think having a website and having your own email list are the most important things. Those are yours. You own your email list. That is an actual asset. Your website, you own it. It's like, you know how they say you can't build on borrowed land? You pay for the domain, and that is your website. Social media is not yours. Algorithms change. Reach changes. Rules change. And the idea that you're going to build a massive audience on those platforms without becoming an expert in it, without constantly posting, without constantly learning the platform, my friends, you have better things to do with your life. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying if you're going to do it well. And if you're not going to do it well, then don't let it drain you. Because for product-based businesses, there are other ways to be discovered. There are other ways to grow. There are other ways to sell. I mean, legit, this is what I teach inside of the Accelerator. This is what I teach inside of the Collective. This is what the Product Boss stands for. It's like you can do social media, have it as a tool, but it is not your entire strategy. So let me clarify this, because I don't want people to hear this and go, okay, should I just delete everything? No, absolutely not. Social media can be a really great tool. It can be a place that people will find you and discover you. It can be a place that people search for you. It can be a place that people verify you and your business. And it can be a place you have conversations. I love to think of it as a CRM, which is customer relationship management, right? Where you're having conversations with your customers in the DMs and you're building relationships. Having a place where someone can see you and see your brand and see what you sell and click to shop is great. But what I'm talking about is different. I'm talking about the pressure to grow it, the pressure to perform for it, the pressure to turn your business into content, into this content machine. Because here's what I do know. So if you want to grow social media, you either need to become an expert at it or just stop doing it, right? And I just want you to think about this. What if in 2026, you removed the pressure? You removed the pressure to go on social media and you found other ways to be discovered by more customers, other ways to be seen, other ways to sell. So I want you to say this clearly. Your follower count does not determine whether your business is successful. Does it help sometimes? If someone looks you up and they see that you're legit, sure, and you have lots of followers, sure. But it's not the scoreboard. I have a student right now who's done $500,000 this year in sales, and she's on her way to $1 million. Like that's our projection for her this year. This is from, again, Sales Accelerator student, has been in my programs, has worked with me as her strategist, has worked within the Collective, right? And she only has, I think, like 30 or 40 followers, like legit. Not even her family probably follows her, right? I also, and I talk about this in some of my sessions, I have a $25 million client that I've worked with. And they had paid, one year they were in my mastermind. So they paid tens of thousands of dollars to be in my mastermind, making $25 million a year. And they joined because they're like, I want to build my social media. And I thought, like, this is the place. And I looked at them and I said, well, I'm so glad that you're here. And also you don't need social media. You have 2,400 followers and $25 million, right? So there's this need, sometimes we feel like we need to do it, but we're not looking at the numbers and the actual things. So I've worked with businesses where we intentionally deprioritized Instagram and social. So you've heard me talk about Dome Doc. They were on Shark Tank last year, and they said on the show that they've made $7 million over the years. And we helped them get to their first million and then supported and consulted them when they were on Shark Tank, post Shark Tank, all the things. They're just amazing. Chelsea and John, just shout out. So they were on Shark Tank and generated $7 million over the course of their business. And at one point when we were working together, they were trying to grow their social media. And I looked at them and we had already planned all these other sales channels. And I literally also said to them, forget it, forget social. Just do a pretty page. So I'm going to say this to you. I was like, find a grid, it's like 12 images. It looks like a good holding page. It had like the dome dot kind of broken out. And I was like, just have a really pretty setup for when they land there. Have a link where people can buy. It's kind of like a landing page, and have a way to grow your list, your email list, and then go build your business. Because businesses scale from visibility, but visibility doesn't only come from social media. Right? It doesn't only come from Instagram. It doesn't only come from TikTok. They had other visibility methods, and they built their email list. That was huge. They built their email list. If you're not building your email list, we've got a problem. So they learned how to build multiple sales channels. They learned how to drive traffic to their Shopify site. They learned wholesale, which was huge. And they started selling to big stores, and they started selling on Amazon. Right? And Amazon was a game changer for them too. So they used other people's audience, exactly what I'm telling you here. And what, this is what you'll discover inside the Sales Accelerator, right? And the website wasn't even their website wasn't even the first place that hit. It wasn't the place that they were driving sales to. They built in multiple places that their ideal customers were. And this is the point, right? There is always a trade-off. You're either spending time, which we can never get back, or you're spending money, which money is replenishable, my friends. Money is like the ocean, the tide. Sometimes it's high tide, sometimes it's low tide, but it's always going to come. It's always going to go through us. So money is the thing that we can constantly generate and make, and it's replenishable, but time is not. So you're going to spend time, or you're going to spend money. I recommend money because money will also buy you time. So you can spend more in all these different places. You can spend on ads. You can spend on getting a social media person. You can spend on your time. But the thing is that what I would really implore you to try is spending your time and your money in building your business in places where people already are. So your ideal customers are already at markets, stores, wholesale, Amazon, Etsy, in-person events, partnerships, right? This is where our customers already are. Other people's audiences, places that they're driving the marketing. And for the artist client that I was working with, that I was talking about today, their unfair advantage is going to be the tourism distribution. They're going to be in all the places where their ideal customer is already present. And that's powerful. This is where I want to give you a concept that I think is the most aligned alternative to performing online. You ready? OPA, other people's audiences. So OPA is when you stop trying to build your audience from scratch every day, right? And you get in front of the rooms and in front of the customers where your customers already exist. You go to the rooms, you're in the stores, you're on the marketplaces where your customer already exists. So that might be retail shelves, hotels, cruise ships, convention centers, travel associations, right? This is all for them. It might be wholesale. It might be markets with the right customers, because if you heard what I just said, markets with the right customers. It might be Amazon if that's right for you. It might be Etsy, even though I would really, what I teach my students is to grow, you can keep Etsy, but to grow off of Etsy, because otherwise you're playing in the Etsy playground. But it might be partnerships. It might be collaborations. But the point is that you're not waiting to be discovered by an algorithm. You're not reliant on an algorithm. You're choosing distribution. And when you do that, you take the pressure off of your nervous system. You take the pressure off because now your business doesn't depend on your performance and the constant need to capture content and to post and to always be on that platform. It's going to depend on your strategy, right? Think of that. Your business depends on your strategy, and that is a massive difference. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you love social media, do it. Right? Because I'm also working with one of the top TikTok shops ever in the world that TikTok flies around the world. Okay. So I'm also all in. If it's something you want to do it. Let it be one of your tools in marketing. But if you don't love it, If you don't have the time or the capacity or the desire to become really good at it, then my friends, let yourself off the hook. Build another pathway, because you can sell products without performing for the algorithm. And you can grow your business without social media. And if you were looking for next steps, I'm going to drop the link in the show notes for the Sales Accelerator, right? Like, because if you are looking for next steps, the Sales Accelerator right now, we have a new cohort starting. And so if you want to be supported with live advice and strategy and implementation, accountability, and the step-by-steps with all of the teachings, right? Because I've got tons of playbooks and videos to support you in this, as well as live advisory and strategy, and you want to kick this year off in a powerful, aligned way, then check it out. Click the link, okay? Because this cohort's kicking off in just the next few weeks. So if that feels aligned to you, this cohort's kicking off. And the thing that I want you to do here is save this episode. Make sure that you're following the show or you're subscribing if you're watching on YouTube. And if you know another business owner or another product boss, someone else that's selling that you're like, you know what? They feel this way about social media and you want to let them off the hook as well, go ahead and forward them the show, right? Like, sharing is caring, and send them the link to this show, to this episode specifically, and be like, look, there are other alternatives for you other than worrying about social media. And that's just going to be such a gift that you give them, because they too get to get let off the hook. I will see you on the next episode. Make sure you're following the show. Follow me over on Instagram, and all the links are going to be in the show notes to support you for your next right step. Talk to you soon.